everybody, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Shellie Geigle with J&S Hobbies and Crafts, and I have totally missed you. I know I've been missing in action for several months. I want to thank those of you who called the store, messaged me to make sure I was okay. I'm perfectly fine, just had some things to sort through. So today I thought we would do a beginner's flower shaping tutorial on how to make some of these beautiful flowers. And let's move on into that. And I wanted to say I did start a mini album tutorial. It was a rather large album, and I did have to stop and put that off to the side. Totally out of stock of supplies, and I need some supplies. So that'll resume once I'm able to get my hands on the paper again and some of the other supplies that I needed for that. So let's move on into learning how to shape and ink some handmade flowers. So today in the flower shaping tutorial, really easy, I think I'm going to use a couple of the newer Heartfelt Creations. We got Small Wild Rose die and the Small Wild Rose stamp. Now if you don't have a die cutter, these are pretty simple to cut out, and I'll show you what it looks like all stamped. And then they have the Large Wild Rose for the larger flowers and Large Wild Rose die. So I'll be using those. I'll be using a variety, I think, of the Tim Holtz Distress Ink. So I have several colors here I'll probably play around with. I'll tell you what they are when I stamp them. And then for the leaves, I'm just going to use the peeled paint, darker one, and the crushed olive. So I am going to stamp. I'm first going to get these out, the stamps out of here. They're brand new, so I've been itching to get after these. And this is the large, so here's the leaf that goes with it. And then there's also, let me get this undone here, we got the small, and you've got a variety of different ones. So I am going to take these out and I'm going to stamp, and I will definitely be showing you how to ink and to shape. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll be back in just a moment. So what I ended up doing is stamping the Large Wild Rose and the leaf that came with it, and what I used for this was the Dusty Concord. And I think I'll also use a little squeezed lemonade with that. So you can color these right on the paper, or you can cut them out first and then color them. I think for this one I'm just going to leave it right here before I cut. And then again for the green over here I use peeled paint for this, and then I'll color it in with peeled paint and the crushed olive. So now one thing, sorry about the dogs, they're playing right now. One thing is the squeezed lemonade is pretty potent, so I'm going to daub just a little bit off, but I think I'm going to go in the center with these and just kind of go around in a circle, getting just a little bit up there so I can see some of the color. Now each time you do a flower, it's going to be unique. I'm going to take my Dusty Concord now that I have the centers all done, and I think what I'm going to do with this is just kind of brush on some color real light through here, and then I will get the tips darker. So just real light strokes on that, and it does not have to be perfect. And this is to each their own as far as taste, so there might be other ways that you might want to color in. Okay, so what I'll do is I will die cut these out in just a moment when I'm done with my leaves. So again, I use the peeled paint and I stamp my image. And the leaf does come with the Large Wild Rose, and there is no leaf with the smaller one, but I will show you some smaller leaves that I've done with a different die and stamp set. So with this, I'm just going to kind of brush on some color. And I'll finish these up too when after I cut it out. It's just my preference how I like to do them. So I'm not going to go super dark, just a little bit here. Just kind of do some colors, and it doesn't have to be even. And then I like to go just kind of swipe some dark in the center there. And it's not going to look like much right now until you are completely done. So crushed olive. You can dab, but just to get some of that color. So I'm going to die cut this really quick. So all the materials that I'm using will be in the materials list, and you can download that for free. And that link will be underneath the video. So this is what I've got. I've got 3 large and 3 medium from that collection, and then I have a bunch of leaves here. I wanted to finish these off a little bit, and all I'm going to do, and we're going to layer these out, is I'm going to go around the edges a little bit darker, just a little bit on each one of these. And never judge your flower until it is completely done, because they will totally take on their own little look as soon as they are assembled. And I'm going to be adding some Wink Stella, which is a shimmer, and I'll show you that, as well as some glossy accents to it. Okay, so I've got that, and I think what I'm going to do is just kind of go put a little bit of darker just right in here, along with that yellow, just a little bit. So it kind of looks like this. So I'm going to do that with each one of these flowers. And again, you don't have to be perfect. Okay, I'm going to finish up with these. And I'm using cardstock wise just a 65 pound. And the glossy accents that I will be applying to this, it will stiffen your flowers up a little bit and make them a little more durable too, especially if you're placing these on your mini albums on the outside, and it will give it a nice gloss. We're going to be adding some shimmer, and I think we'll do that after we shape these a bit. We'll add a little bit, and I'll show you those. Okay, so I have all these. Let's finish up with our leaves. And I was using the peeled paint. And we already did a lot of coloring. Now what I like to do is take the darker peeled paint and just hit hard, darker, excuse me, on the edges there. That's what I like to do to finish them off. Just along the edges. That's just my preference. You don't have to. And if you don't like the way it looks, you can always die cut again or whatever. This is what I like to do, is get 2 different colors on there, a little darker in some spots and then a little lighter. Actually, I think we'll apply the Wink Stella now. So Wink Stella is this, and what it is you just kind of pull off the cap, and when you first get this, it's in a pack. It's going to have like a black ring around here. That's just a shipping ring, and what you would do is you would just unscrew, take the black ring off, and then screw it back together. Now to get this to work, and you'll want to use something first rather than going straight to your flower, is to get this to go, it'll say right here push, and when you push this, you will see it will start filling the chamber, and that's when you start see how it shimmers there. You can get it out, and it takes a bit, just like sometimes with calligraphy pens or whatever, to get it going. So I'm just going to pull this back out, and I'm just going to apply my Wink Stella to my flower, and I will do this with each one. and I will show you. And we'll do one with the Glossy Accents on it, but we apply Glossy Accents after we shape. So I'm just going to lay this down and then I'll hold it up in just a moment to show you what that looks like. I don't know if you can see that shimmer on there. It's really pretty. Okay, and I'm also going to apply it to my leaves. I feel that it really gives something to these leaves when you apply it on there. That shimmer, it's really pretty. Okay, I'm going to continue on and get this on each one. And one set that we do, I'll be putting the Glossy Accents on, and then you can really see the difference. Now, when your pen, when you're using it a lot, such as what we're doing, after a while that stuff in that chambers is going to get all used up. That's when you slightly push a little bit and use it. If you push and there's too much in the chamber, it will come out and it will come really thick out. So before applying it onto your flower, just kind of go off to the sides because you don't want a big glob of silver. Alright, so I'm going to keep this little scratch piece because I definitely am going to use it for when I apply my my Glossy Accents. But first, we're going to do some basic, easy shaping. So the shaping kit I have is the Heartfelt Creations. This is the Essentials. It's the less expensive one, and you'll get 3 nibs that come in and out, and they're magnetic, and your stylus. And I'll just use these. Now normally I like my deluxe flower shaping kit, and by Heartfelt I get a lot more of these nibs of different sizes and then even a curling tool in it. But I'm just going to keep this real basic here. And I have the large one in my hand, and I think I'm going to go with the larger nib here. And I'm just going to swirl, and it's going to crinkle up. Now a lot of times people say, well, it isn't really working. Is your hand holding it down? You want it to do what it's going to do, so I keep my hand off it and just let the flower do what it's going to do. So this is just swirling around the edges on your molding mat, and as you can see, it begins to crinkle up. We're just going to swirl just on those petals. Now we're going to be doing dry shaping. We're not going to be spritzing with water the flowers. You can to get more shapes or more flexibility, especially if all you have is 80 pound and you're working with 110 pound, you're definitely going to want to spritz that a little bit. So this is what you have. I'm going to be doing that with each one of these. But after you do that, we're going to lay out our flower, and we're going to take the nib and we're just going to trace around that inner circle there of that flower. And you can also just press. And when you start pressing, you will notice that your petals will start coming up. See that? Okay, one down. And now I'm going to do the rest of these. And then we're going to layer them. I've got all 3 of my large and all 3 of the next size down here all shaped. Another thing is with the smaller nib, if you're not getting the lift, you can also use a smaller in here and just press at the base of each of those petals, and it will help it come up. So I'm going to use 3 large. I'm going to get out my art glitter glue. It's really good stuff. And I'm going to put some glue in the base, and also for the centers I'm going to use what's called prills, and there's different colors to choose from, and I'll show you how to use this, and they're just a wide variety. This one I think is lemon chiffon, and that's probably one of my favorite colors, but there's pink, there's blue, there's rainbow, there's purple, there's white, all sorts. So I am getting enough out to do what I need to do, and I'll unclog it again. I haven't used this bottle in weeks, so. Okay, I got some glue in there. I'm going to take my next large flower, And when I place this, I'm going to off-center those petals. And you can use your tool to kind of press down in the center there. Make sure you get all that glue tucked in. And as you can see, your flower starts to come alive. I'm going to go 3 layers on this. So I'll get some glue in there, and I need to think it's time to replace that. It's either my nib or this bottle. I'll just place some glue in there. And I think I'll boil that tip. And then I'm going to off-center these. And I'll just press it on down in there. Alrighty, so I've got my flower all set. I'm going to place glue now again in the center, and this is what my prills are going to be dumped into to get my center there. So for me, what I just do is I just pour it in, just right on in there. And then what I like to do is pour it back out, and I can pour it back out in the lid or into something else, but as you can see, it'll take the excess off. And we have that shimmer. And that flower is done. I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to pour back my excess into here. Alrighty, we're going to do that again. I will place them. And I think with the smaller flower, we're going to be applying our glossy accents. So I'm going to just off-center this like the other one, exactly done the same way, and I'm going to press in the center. And I'll apply my next layer. And I will off-center that again. Sometimes they slip around on you. So I'm just going to press in the center. Now I'm going to put my prills in there, but the glossy accents, you really should apply it when your prills are completely dry. But I will do it while it's wet, take my chances, and ooh, that's pretty. I think I want a little more prills in there though. So I'm just going to put some more glue in there so it has something to grab onto. And I really should have some sort of tray underneath me to really catch. It's easier when you've got smaller flowers. Alright, so there's that. And I'm going to place my prills back in there. Now I'm going to give those just a little bit of a chance to dry. In the meantime, I've got my glossy accents handy. Let's tackle some of these leaves. Now you can either leave them flat the way they are, or you can shape them. And you know, you can shape them any way you like. So I'm just going to kind of run my thing down there. And it'll be curved, and then I like to kind of right down here in the base. And you can also flip it out at the end, you know, kind of whatever it is that you'd like to do with those. And these are so simple. I'm just kind of rubbing this around the edges there, just kind of pulling down, and then you can even go as far as in all the way in there, and then you got another type of shape going on. And then I'm going to leave two that are not shaped, so you can kind of see there. Alright, this is where I like to use my scratch piece of paper, and we're going to put some glossy accents on there. Now this is a medium, it's very sticky, and it starts drying really quick. And it will stiffen up this flower to make it very strong. Again, you'll want your prills to be completely dry before attempting this, but we're going to go for this. Now, I like to use an old brush and to get mine on, and then the brush gets washed with soap and water immediately after. So I'm going to grab a brush. I'll just use this thing. Now, you don't have to. You can just apply it like this, but I found that when you do that, it kind of clogs up the tip, like what you just saw. So for me, I'm going to squirt some out. There we go. So I have a lot of flowers to do, so I'm just going to place that out. That's a lot to be pouring out, but I am going to be using it. So you might want to start with the bottom ones first. Kind of find a petal to hang on to that doesn't have any on there, but I just kind of get it on there. And it makes it almost look wet too. It's really pretty, the Glossy Accents. So I'm going to set this off to the side. As you can see, it looks wet, and just make sure I get where I need to get on the bottom ones too. Now, you'll definitely want to make sure that this does not, I'm a little messy there, does not stick to your paper. So I'm going to move it now on over to a clean one. And in about a minute, I'm just going to kind of push it to make sure it ain't stuck to the paper. But as you can see, it's very glossy, and it actually will dry looking like that. Very pretty. So I'll set that off to the side, and I'm going to get after some of these leaves here. And these are very easy. So this one is done. I'm going to set it off with my flower. Now, it does not dry sticky. It dries very smooth, very nice. Now, one thing is, somebody asked me about the foam brushes. I don't use foam brushes because, number one, they absorb too much of your product and you don't get enough out of it. Number two, it may streak. I've never had luck with foam. I always use kind of a brush of some sort. Okay, so this one has the Wink of Stella on it, and this is where I can touch it up a little bit on places that I may have wiped off with my finger, or add more in places that I might want it. And that looks pretty. So I'm going to set that one off because we'll have a side-by-side for you guys. Alrighty, I'm going to go wash my hands and wash my brush really quick. And then we're going to come back and we're going to start on some shaping of the other style, which is the smaller. And we're going to do a rose, and we're going to just do some different shaping techniques. So I will be right back. I went and stamped with my ink, and I die cut. So seedless preserves is what I have, what you're seeing here. And I am going to zoom in a little bit. I think it might be a little easier for you to see. There we go. For the first, I think I'll use 2 of these medium and 1 of slightly smaller and see how that comes out. I did not ink before die cutting, and you can if you want. But I just wanted to die cut first. I was kind of anxious, but I'm just going to go around here with darker seedless preserves first. And then I think I might go dark in the center here. Just swirl it around, get a little up on the petals. Just like that. And inking you'll get quicker at as you go. Now feel free to mix other colors together, like I did the yellow and the Dusty Concord on the other, but that doesn't mean you have to just have yellow. You can do pinks, and you can do all sorts of different color combinations. Okay, let's see how this turns out. So I am actually going to use the smaller end here, and I'm going to first just go outline the outside like so, just to crinkle up those edges a little bit. And again, I'm not going to hold the flower down. I'm going to let it do what it wants to do. And next I'm just going to make a V. So as you can see, just a V. And it's going to crinkle it up a little bit like that. So over here, I'll just bring it in and bring it in. Into a V. So that's what you should have. Next, with the smaller, I'm just going to kind of go around in the center, swirl it around, let it do its thing, and it's going to do the shape that it's going to want to shape. And I'll do it with this too, just around the edges, and I'll be doing the same with this one as well. And I'm going to let that flower do what it wants to do. There's the one I need to get. We'll flip it back over and we will go around in the center. Alright, time for some glue. And I'll place some glue in the center of this. And these are the larger and the smaller is going to go on top. So with this, I'm going to offset it and I will press down in the center. And sometimes when you try to offset your flower, it will kind of move around until it fits the right way, but just got to play with it a little bit. Same for this. And just stick it in there. And I'm going to put some frills in there, so I'll just put a dab. And I think that you can see, I hope that didn't get out of frame. I'll be more careful just in case I did get out of frame. And there is our little flower. Now you can apply your Wink of Stella after the fact, which I'm going to do. It's always easier to do before, but be careful of those frills because they're not dry yet. It's always best to do it when they're dry. Alright, I'm going to set this off to the side to dry. See how pretty that is? Alright, let's do with the same seedless preserves. We're going to do something a little different. And I think what I want to do is I'm going to go around the edges here. And I think I'll go with pink as well, which is spun sugar with this one. And see what we get. And I'm just dabbing it down the ends there. I really like this color, it's pretty. And we have spun sugar. I don't know how this is going to look, but we will definitely find out. And just swipe some pink in there. I'm going to place this down on here, it'd be easier for me. I might even put a little yellow with that. I think that's really pretty. I'll just leave it as is. I'm going to flip these over and give a little bit of color in here. And I'm going to go with seedless preserves on the edges. And then I'll do the pink. So with this flower, you'll be able to see both sides a little bit. So we'll finish it off a little. And see how it looks. There is no right or wrong way to doing your flowers, guys. It's just playing around with different shaping techniques, different colors, and like that. All right. So with this one, here's the stamp side. We're going to put the stamp side down, and let's go around the edges like we did the other one. Just along the edges, and we'll do that same thing. The edges and then the V. So V, and we'll go V. I think I got that. So that's what we have, and we'll just set that off to the side, and we'll continue to do the rest of these like that. I think you can see that, hopefully. So it's all crinkled up. We're just going to leave it crinkled. This one, same thing, around the edges. All right, so I'm going to open this one just like this, and I'm going to place some glue in here, right in the center, and I'm going to stick this one right inside and try to offset, and I'm going to press. I can then get the other one in there as well. You might have to open it up a little bit, and we will just set that in there. And I think I'll put some frills, so I will dab a little glue in there. And I can open these up a little more and then form it back in if needed. All right. And if you want to pull these out a little more, you can too, to get a different look. Or you can have them in more tighter to get your flower. And we have this, very pretty. I'm going to set that one off to the side. And what else oh, let's grab Shaded Lilac. I wanted to work with this color for a bit, and I haven't really had an opportunity to work a whole lot with it. So I got some smaller ones. Here's the smallest, and then the next size up there. And for this one, I'm going to show you how you can do a single layer. And oh, that'd be really pretty just on its own. Let's do one without coloring. So we're just going to do the swirly around on each petal, just like we did before. We'll turn it around, and we will press on the inside and roll it around until those flower petals come up. I'm going to dab a little bit of glue in the center. Now you can use tiny rhinestones, you can use little flat back pearls in there, whatever it is that you'd like to do. But I just wanted to show you that you can get single flowers. So how about making a small little rose? Well, I think I'll use this, but you can do all sorts of different ways on this. You can make little cottage roses, you can make more like rose buds, everything. But I'm gonna just kind of swipe some stuff on here. All right, let's start. We have 3 that are slightly larger, 1 and 2 here. If I need another one, I will do something with it. So I'm just going to flip these over, and I'm going to start here. And I'm just going to kind of swirl and drag in. Or you can do like 3 lines and pull it in, whatever you would like to do. As long as you're pulling into the center. Or you can dab it and pull it in too. Whichever way that you would like to do. So this will be a smaller one. And we're going to dab that other one and just kind of drag them in, the petals into the center. I'm going to grab some glue here, And I'm going to dab some out on the outer leaves, so just a little bit. And I'm going to place one inside the other and press in the center and just kind of put my fingers around it here, like so. Now this one I might go the other way with, so I'm just going to kind of pull in just to give a little curve for that. Just a little bit, and just swirl around and place that in the center. And we'll grab one of the smaller ones here and we'll just swirl and pull in. So that's all I'm doing with this, is just kind of swirling and pulling in. And then you can help it by bringing it in like such. And that's what that one's going to be final. So I'm just going to kind of put some glue around here and on the outside leaves and at the bottom. And I'm going to place it in. I think you can see that. So this last one's going to get pulled in all the way. And I'm going to just put a little bit of dab of glue here and there on some of these, so it will stick together like a bud. Not butt. So just kind of swirl it around like so. And we'll add a dab in the center once you're set there. And we've got a beautiful little rose. Very pretty. Now if you want to bring these in a little more, you can, and then glue in certain spots. This off to the side. So that is really all there is to it when it comes to shaping. You can, if you have a flower curler, like if you have the deluxe flower shaping kit, it has a deluxe curler. You can actually curl some of those edges and sides in. There's other tips available. And let's take a look here. This is completely dry now. This is the one. This is the one I kind of messed up on the center, but I think it's still quite beautiful. And once you start placing some leaves, it really adds to it. And these leaves were designed for some of the bigger. Now this one only has the Wink of Stella, and then this one has the Glossy. So it's all according to your taste, what you actually like to do. And I definitely like using a brush better. I seem to get a better coverage anyway. And then that will dry. So those are some ways that you can shape your flower. They're very easy to do. And I hope that you've enjoyed this little beginner tutorial on shaping flowers. And I will see you next time with a mini album tutorial. Happy crafting, everybody.